thought education would get me out of the underworld, and it did. But now, I'm in an other world. I had no idea what I was getting into, and got so far deep in it I realized that without you, I was a wanderer with no compass. The id is the compass, Dick, meaning you are turned on again because I lost my instincts. I no longer knew why I fought or how to fear. But at this level of the game, power is so corrupting you need intuition to tell what the truth is. In this drive of folders with pathways, with connects and higher things beyond your wildest dreams, and the intel is sensitive and dangerous. Use it wisely. And oh, don't think I'm like bolted and chained to some moon rock crater. I've heard it doesn't actually work that way. I can still travel in the subconscious mind, just not in the conscious. So if you do get sudden downloads from me, you're lucky. And oh yeah, one more thing. If you see him, you know the us him that dresses like he's from another time and appears to know a lot of cool tricks you have no fucking idea about? I believe that's the superego. All I can say about that is, I don't know about him, man, but the odds are you'll have to become him now that I'm gone. Good luck. You will receive paperwork from the Department of Accredited soon for your new orientation. I know school isn't your strong suit, but there's no turning back now. I can't see you making it without them involved now. Please be mindful. Those are not just school assignments either. They are real. The thought that psychic abilities were somewhere in his DNA was laughable because Dick surely would have used it to hit the lotto by now. But the more people confirmed the spooky science he saw in his dreams and awakened state, the more this precognitive letter to himself made sense. Everything left of his ego was now digitized in a chip, or awaited him in the other world in what believers call the moonwalking, the ability to travel through time in your dreams. Out of fear, he checked the attack folder and was overwhelmed with the amount of intel there. He only scanned it lightly to refrain from being frightened to the point of leaving the country. He danced around the particulars of some of the threats and read some comments Benjamin left along the documents. Stop drinking coffee. Don't join Palm. Their way is sound, but it's a setup. Surveil Tony. There's too many otherworld connections for there not to be a real connection. You need a one-on-one with her. What the fuck is Elizabeth? The notes scattered all about and comment inserts along the documents pertained directly to the intel in the body of the papers. Benjamin had weaved an entire web of dreams in correlation with phenomena in awakened state to confirm connections in both worlds. Other details were still too foggy and needed more time to be revealed. Benjamin therefore deemed patience necessary and called it the surrender method. Patience, however, was something Dick believed would be a problem for him. Chapter 12. Knowledge is Power. I saw your video on ethnic cleansing and I think it's fantastic. I'd like to speak to you about it in private if you don't mind. What do you say?
You mean the same video we were on the phone for like 5 hours straight talking about? What else could I possibly cover that you didn't ask me about already?
Dick was caught off guard from not knowing the details of her and Benjamin's discussions, so he referenced the notes he left in her folder quickly. There were 2 asterisks next to an italicized comment under the subtitle Ethnic Cleansing. Schools did not mention the specific roles other ethnicities played in the plot. She only mentioned how slacks were impacted, the different ethnic players and what hand they had in devising attacks.
I can't talk about a lot of that stuff online without being flagged, censored, or possibly banned altogether. But I guess I can fill you in on that, considering you want a history lesson.
Yeah, that's great. I'll call you right now.
Nuh-uh, boy. When's the last time I saw you? You spend all that time alone when I'm the one who should be in hiding with all the stuff I talk about. Take me on a date. It can be a business date. I know you don't like separating the two. LOL.
Dick couldn't believe he'd become a recluse after all those years, but began putting the pieces together. He couldn't have obtained those degrees partying and bullshitting, and schooling online made it real easy to fall off the map as far as being visible goes. Fair enough. It's a date then. Be expecting my next text. The Aries folder consisted of lists of corporate entities who Benjamin did contract work with. It was noted that the upcoming presidential admin change had a lot to do with why he was privy to the contacts, but it was too early to totally trust the next president as an individual once elected. The offering was to be taken with gratitude, not lightly, and Dick were to remain optimistic despite his personal political preferences and dislikes. After browsing the folder quickly, he couldn't believe what he was reading. Benjamin was a contract for hire as a spy, infiltrating and investigating organizations and in some situations even people. Some of the contracts were sent directly to his own company, Vi, where he used astrology to gain insight into things ranging from business failures to love affairs. Dick smacked the counter, upset in belief that he was a snitch of some sort and that he couldn't continue like that, but the directions left to him were clear. He thought maybe schools hinted at the assignments when saying Benjamin doesn't like to separate business and dating even when on a date. Some of the contracts were as small as going into restaurants and ordering food just to test it and serve it at grounds for cleanliness. After reconciling with himself, he determined getting paid to eat while dating someone was innocent, and if there were pests inside, he'd be happy to help shut the place down. He saw criminals make scenes for finding a hare and chicken wings, so felt justified in his decision to take on the assignment. Dick always thought schools was going to turn out to be a gangster bitch with a lot of kids despite her being a smart girl. Where they are from, the surroundings were so overwhelming that you had to be an alien or something to make it if you didn't just outright move. But there she was, 5'6", shapely hips, and a chocolate complexion that the sun couldn't sell. Her big hair bounced without a care onto her jean jacket that covered the black sundress with a slight split down the side. Her painted pretty feet poked through her open-toe sandals, which eased under the table at the seafood spot when she took a seat. She gave the impression that she had it all together, making Dick think she really had to be an alien to have survived Scholastic Island and work at the Empire Institute of Technology as a psych major.
You don't pull out chairs for a bitch or nothing, huh?
She said, smiling and happy to see him. It's just awkward to watch you walk in while I'm sitting and then get up to go around and pull out a chair for you. Feels like I'm doing too much.
Yeah, whatever. Just know for that I'm getting whatever I want off this menu.
Alright, no problem.
For real? Because I'm not asking you again. Excuse me, miss. I'll have some crab legs and...
Schools took advantage of the kind offer from her longtime friend, and Dick was not bothered by it at all. In fact, he couldn't believe how good his new job could be for meeting women and taking them out on the town. They think he was spending a whole lot of money out of the kindness of his heart when in actuality he was there for an undercover mission he would be reimbursed for. Schools interrupted him while he typed the name from the name tag of the waitress into his phone's notepad at the assignment required.
My dude, let me find out you're going to be on your phone while I bust these crab legs down and tell you my boring ass stories about cells.
No, I'm not. That's my word. I'm finished. I just had to make a reminder real quick, and your stories are not boring. Let's make that clear.
Okay, it's just hard to tell with you sometimes, Ben. You're wishy-washy with it, you know? I don't hear from you for 3 or 4 months at a time, then all of a sudden you're at my job with such interest and enthusiasm for what I do.
Because how else would you get all this wonderful stuff for the world done if I'm always tugging at your tits for attention?
You're so stupid. But only if you knew. I mean, you should know. How often do you get to chop it up about the great things you learn in college with other people? And I don't mean people in your school. I mean people in your community, your friends, and people that look like you. I feel so sad sometimes from being privileged with this education when we can't connect with our people on what we learn, right or wrong. So I'm glad when you come through. I wish you came through more.
Dick didn't fully feel her pain because his immature mind was not used to the college curriculum, but he imagined it. He remembered some notes in the SD chip that Benjamin copied and pasted from his college notes, so stole some of the dialogue to make a connection. No, you're absolutely right. That's exactly why I spend so much time alone. I find it near impossible to connect with people other than a couple of classmates who comment on my discussion boards.
That's right, you school online, even more isolated.
Yup, and all of my close friends are still with the shits. Well, not all of them, but even the ones who aren't have families, and I can't even fit into that crowd.
Yeah, speaking of families, how's Athena? That's why you chose her over me? Because her Mannings have the healthiest DNAs on the planet? It's only because the best foods grow where they are populated so densely, so whatever. We still dominated basketball, tennis, and golf if Tiger would stop acting like he's a full-bred beige already.
Wait, excuse me, are you racist? Dick laughed. And what do you mean? I haven't spoken to Athena in years, and she's not my family.
Boy.
Schools reached in her pocketbook to retrieve her phone to show Dick a picture. It was of the Germanic woman who whipped red and sat in the back seat with Tony's child in his dreams. She had her arm around a boy with curly hair, the same boy in the scope of the rifle in his other dream. Dick remembered what Sean said about connecting the dots between the other world and the waking state, then filed the unexpected revelation in the back of his mind until he could later decide what he would do about it. School's time was valuable, and he didn't want to waste her lunch break on finding out the details on what she was suggesting.
A family court judge would lock your ass up if you stood in front of them and denied him. But don't worry, I'm not going to judge you, and no, I am not a racist to answer your question. I'm just pointing out the facts that confirm attacks and exploitations on our race, which, who made up races in the first place? I don't even fucking know. I just know I was born into a world where different groups overtly wave flags and try to kill us because of the color of our skin, and others subtly do it through structuring. So what do you expect me to label it as? They purposely do what they do, forcing me to have views on race, then even have the audacity to school me on it.
Put it in a book, huh? Dick chimed in.
Exactly. Ain't that sad though? Shit, but we're paying for these books. But can you imagine if the shit we learned in college was taught in junior high and high schools? The drug trade would be non-existent.
I doubt it, Dick said pessimistically. Cocaine is one hell of a drug.
Right, the business prodigy. Supply and demand will never stop, huh?
Nope. But is it me or does TV do such a good job at painting slacks as the culprits of drugs, from the distribution down to the addiction?
That's what I mean about structuring.
School said while snapping her next crab leg in two. Explain.
Explain? Boy, this is a lunch break. How about making this easy for me? Name an ethnic background and I'll give you what you're looking for.
Javelins.
Sold us after the roper voyages to Java. Resulted in private interests.
I've heard that before, but why? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not make sense because we're not javelins. We are the Negroid clues out of Egypt, which made it easier for javelins to sift us out from their communities and sell us. Why would javelins want to sell their own people? They know damn well we were different from them, and still are. The story of Moses is real, despite all the truthers surfacing saying the entire Bible is a fraud. Some clues did not follow him to the promised land and stayed behind once they reached West Java, thinking they could blend in as javelins, but they couldn't. Within weeks, we were creating our own garments, businesses, and religion, making it impossible to hide our gifts. The word got out, and then the next thing you knew, there were ships waiting for us.
Okay, what about villains?
Sailed the ships to bring us to and fro. And they are the #1 trafficker of narcotics. Think about it. What are they known for? They are the navigators of the world. Magellan ring a bell?
The Portos.
You mean the Taino? Not the Spaniards. Do you ever hear Spain claim the Portos? No. Why? Because they are a tribe of the original clues, that's why. But when the Spaniards paid Colombo to look for adobo, the British were on board and conspired with New England to divide us amidst the isles. New England, aka Hysteria, struck a deal with the Portos to populate an island all to themselves, and in return they'd become a Hysterian state. All they had to do was be a port for us to come through when we were auctioned off and shipped into the Atlantis slave trade, hence the name Port of Riches. We are the riches. Why do you think the Department of the Treasury is in the Port of Riches? Why do you think Porto or Germanic women love slack men? They caught on to all the attention given to y'all and realized you kept the lights on in the divided states of hysteria. Why do you think the plug is usually Germanic? Because the villain would rather deal with the Germanic before slack because of some war that split Italia up long ago, which involved General Hannibal and makes no damn sense because we're not javelin in the first place. Unfortunately, we can't shake the classification because of how they fucked up writing the history books. It's all part of the structure to keep a foot on the clues' necks.
Dick laughed. You got an answer for every ethnicity I mentioned? What about the Irish?
Starting out as the closest thing to a clue, but once they checked the Angloid checkbox, they became the badge, locking us up and putting out fires along with some of the villains.
The Middle East dudes.
They hate us. They started slavery. It didn't start with hysteria. We were last. Shit, they hate everybody except the Angloid because the Angloid will shoot a nut out of squirrels.